data in the first alert. Erica.
Yeah, so we're really watching a complex of showers and storms off to our west. So in the short term, this has actually been a relatively nice evening for a lot of folks. We've seen a lot of folks out and about at Edgewater Beach, just for one example, trying to take advantage of the sunny weather that's been really beautiful through the day today. But don't let that deceive you from what could potentially be down the pipeline as we continue on through the rest of this evening. This is the complex of storms that we've been watching cross through Illinois over the last several hours. Now it's into parts of central Indiana, and that's where we're going to have to see as we get closer and closer to sunset here within the next hour and a half to almost 2 hours as to how well those storms will still hold together as they cross into western Ohio and eventually give us a better opportunity for potentially seeing some strong, possibly even severe storms in the mix. Most of the activity that we've seen so far today has largely struggled. The one exception was a storm that developed out near the Youngstown area, and that has really been the most impressive cell that we've seen. But even that, now that it's into Pennsylvania, is starting to collapse a little bit. So your short-term severe storm threat is over for at least, I would say, the next couple of hours. But know that as we get closer and closer to the overnight, the more we bring back that second opportunity for us to see some of those strong to severe storms. And again, like we said, damaging winds, large hail, our main concerns. Can't completely rule out a low end tornado risk, but again, that is going to be very isolated. I don't think that's going to be one of my biggest concerns. Heavy rainfall will also accompany a lot of this activity as it moves through the area. Right now, though, if you're stepping out this evening, temperatures very summer-like, upper 70s to about lower 80s. So enjoy the nice summer weather, because as we get into tonight and we wait on that next cold front to come in, it brings a huge change to our weather pattern as we get through the rest of the weekend and especially into early next week. So overnight tonight, we won't drop significantly. I think we'll stay right around the lower 60s. Winds out of the south still about 10 to 20 miles per hour. But early tomorrow, we're going to start to see a cold front coming in. That is really going to kick up some very strong westerly winds. So be mindful of that as we go through your Saturday. And you'll also notice cooling temperatures as we progress through the afternoon. So what that means is things are going to get a whole lot colder for us as we look ahead towards Sunday. We'll talk all about it in your first alert forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Things looking very beautiful outside right now, but this is a tricky forecast. Don't let the weather deceive you, because we could potentially get some damaging weather move in. We're going to bring in meteorologist Erika Paige to kind of fill in the blanks and explain all that to folks.
Yeah, so it is a relatively quiet period right now, but headed into the overnight, this is when things could get a little dicier for us. You'll notice the messaging really hasn't changed a lot from what we were even tracking with last night's storms. It's not the same setup, but there are some pieces that are certainly very similar. A lot of these storms may roll in while we're all in bed, just kind of enjoying after a day of, Friday activities that you may be out and about with. So just keep that in mind. A few of these storms could be strong to severe, heavy rain, lightning, wind, main concerns, low end hail and tornado risk. But again, still possible. It's just not one of our greatest concerns. So we want to make sure that you know this now and know the timing more specifically so that you're prepared for this when you head to bed tonight. You have your phone volume turned up just in case we get a stronger storm or two that starts to roll in. Right now, things are quiet, and we expect it to stay that way through about 10 o'clock at the earliest. That's when I would expect some of the storms in Indiana to start to move into our western counties, and that's when we're going to have to watch to see how well those storms hold together and potentially bring an opportunity for severe weather. Right now, things are very quiet across our area, and we expect that to be the case for the next couple of hours. But you go just off to the west, and all of a sudden you see all these showers and storms racing across Indiana, and almost every single storm that has popped up has quickly turned strong to severe, if not for severe winds, for the potential that you could have a couple tornadoes in the mix. Now, granted, that's where you're closer to an area of low pressure, and so that's where we anticipate some of the worst of the weather headed into the overnight. But because we're on this northern edge of this system, we could get a couple of these stronger, gustier storms to try and make their way into our area. So you'll see anywhere under that level 2 out of 5 risk. That's where we stand the greatest risk of potentially picking up a couple of these storms. And again, it's going to take a little bit of time for them to move into our area. Right now, any of the rain that's out there, it's clearing out. It's certainly been watching some of those storms out across parts of Pennsylvania. Not a concern for us anymore at this point. Temperatures by about 10 o'clock, upper 60s to low 70s. And you'll notice that line of storms starting to approach the I-71 corridor by this point. Now, this particular view of your future view, could potentially be an hour or two sped up. So that's why we're giving you such a large window, just to account for potentially storms speeding up or potentially slowing down just a little bit more. But I think that initial wave of activity will come through as we head into, say, the 10 p.m. to about 2 o'clock in the morning range. And we may get a secondary round of some showers and storms that roll in after that point. We'll see if that data continues to hold. It's a little bit more sporadic in terms of how much coverage we would expect with any secondary round. But for the most part, you're not going to lose a lot of that temperature as we head into the overnight. So we start off tomorrow on a very mild note. But here comes the cold front once we get into tomorrow afternoon. That may spark a couple showers across our area, and it is going to send your temperature starting to tumble as we head into the second half of the weekend. May not look like it, and that's because of how windy it's going to be tomorrow. Could easily have some winds gusting upwards of 35 miles per hour out of the west. So be mindful of that, especially with all the rain that we've seen recently. Could be enough potentially if you've got some weak trees to potentially cause some issues there. So again, just be mindful of it. But we will be watching for some much colder air to filter in by early next week. We'll have a couple ups and downs with the forecast, maybe some rain chances to watch for during the second half of the week. But then as we close in on Memorial Day weekend, right now the data keeping us dry, but I will say a lot of it holds us well cooler than average for this time of the year as we look to the last full weekend.